You're listening to Parasearch Radio, news, views and reviews from the world of the paranormal from across the UK and beyond. Find us on Facebook, Twitter and the World Wide Web. Parasearch UK Radio. Parasearch Radio, broadcasting to the UK and beyond.
The views and opinions expressed by presenters and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of Parasearch Radio or its affiliates and sponsors. Listener discretion is advised.
You're listening to the Supernatural Chat Show with your host, Sean Cadman, only on Parasearch Radio.
Go.
Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to that special time of week again. It's Wednesday night, and this is the Supernatural Chat Show with me, your host, Sean Cadman. Tonight's guest. What can we say about tonight's guest? I think most of you know this guy, Mr. John Blackburn. He's fantastic at what he does. I've had the pleasure of being on John with a couple of investigations, and to be perfectly honest, he blew everybody away that was there. What this guy can do is fantastic, and that's enough of me massaging John's ego. There he is himself, the man. Are you there, John?
Hi, Sean. You okay? Thanks for all the lovely comments.
That's my pleasure. That's my pleasure. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. You?
Not bad at all, thanks. Nice and busy, which is what we like.
Yeah, indeed.
What usually my first thing I say to everybody is if you tell a guest a little bit about yourself. I think most of the people listening know who you are and what you do. I know we spoke the other week on one of your events that you wanted to talk about little known things about yourself, about your past.
Yeah,
what you did.
Correct.
Yeah, what you did before, what you do now. So if I'll hand over to you for a little bit, if you just want to tell people about yourself, what you did before you got into the paranormal and the mediumship side.
Yeah, I thought it might be interesting, really, because a lot of people sort of just know me as the guy with the painting, really, and my work with the Anguished Man and the events I do. And I've had quite an interesting past, really. One of them was going back many years ago now, probably in the 1980s. I used to be a part of the Hunt Saboteurs Association at one time.
Right.
Basically, the thing is with me is that I don't particularly, I don't like cruelty to animals whatsoever.
Yeah. Which
I'm sure there's a lot of people listening there tonight who don't as well. And when I was about 19, I got involved in the Hunt Saboteurs Association, and it was an interesting time to say the least. Really, it's say for instance, you'd go on these hunts. You go to meet the hunts, and then you'd spray like the usual garlic around, which we used on those days, and it'd put the dogs off the scent of the fox.
Yeah.
And also we had some guys who were quite amazing at blowing the hunting horn, so they could actually divert the foxhounds to where they wanted them to go, which was quite interesting. To the annoyance of the hunt itself, and they used to get into some very, very strange tactics, and one of them was that they would hire ex-cons to keep us at bay. We would just come out of prison.
Yeah.
And I always remember one particular time. It was a hunt master's son, actually, and he used to always try to intimidate all the hunt saboteurs who went there. But like he never did me. I always stood up to him. And so one time was in this van, and there must have been about 15 big guys, and you could tell that they'd come out of prison. Yeah. And they were trying to rip the back of the van doors off to get to me, which was quite a scary moment, I should imagine. As you can imagine.
Definitely, yeah.
Fortunately, we escaped that particular one. There was an interesting one. A guy on the Hunt Saboteurs Association. He was called Mike Huskinson, and Mike actually wrote a book called Outfoxed, and basically what he did is he infiltrated the hunt itself, and he pretended to be like a hunt supporter really, and he went to the hunt balls and things like that, and eventually he got part of the hunt, and they didn't realise for a long time that he was that natural fact a hunt saboteur, Mike actually had a contract out on his life.
Wow.
And that's how how things were then, really. And the other things I've been on, have you heard of Rainbow Warrior before?
Yeah, it's the boat, isn't it?
That's it, yeah. The ship, yeah. In the 80s as well, they were doing seal culls on the Orkney Islands, on seal pups, and you get guys going around and they'd club a seal on the head, like a seal pup, and they'd use it for fur then. So a load of us were going to go on the Rainbow Warrior to the Orkney Islands to stop this. The government got involved, and because there was so many people going to stop it, in the end, the seal cull didn't go ahead because they didn't want a big riot.
Yeah.
So that was quite an interesting time for me. We were talking about self-employment before as well, and in my past I've been a self-employed DJ, would you believe? And I did that for 12 years. I was also a radio presenter for 8 Sounds Radio, and I also did the outside broadcasting unit as well, where we did all the private events. We did all the public events in in parks and places like that. If there was like some sort of a celebration on, then we would be there doing the outside broadcasting. And some of that time, as being a DJ, I used to work for Scan Sound, which is in Scandinavia. I worked in Denmark and Norway for a while, and nearly got sent to Iceland, but I didn't quite go there. But I came home there.
A bit cold.
Yeah, just a bit cold. So then I was self-employed then for like 12 years doing that. So I've had quite an interesting background, really, doing different things.
Definitely, yeah. Did you enjoy all that time then with Hunt Saboteurs? And
it was an interesting time. It was dangerous times.
Yeah.
But it was an interesting time. It was a sad time as well, because you'd see things that you wouldn't want to see. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, definitely.
And the things that went on were pretty disgusting, really. I remember one time we went to a silver fox farm, and we went to save a load of silver foxes, and basically on the farm itself, it was a bit like an animal outfits, if you want.
Yeah.
Because they had sheds, and the sheds had hoses that were linked to diesel engines. They put the foxes inside a shed, and then they just gas them, basically.
And
And then they skin them. And then the saddest thing was that the foxes were in a cage, and they were just stood on bare wire, the cage.
Yeah.
And I remember we were getting these foxes out at that time. The police were there, and this guy had a fox underneath his coat, and a policeman came over to him, and he says, "Go on, son." So he just let us go because he could see the conditions.
Yeah, I bet something like that stays in your memories. It's something hard to forget. Them sort of things.
It is, yeah. It is hard to forget. I think it's all the things I've done really. It's all builds who you are, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
And the reason why I did what I did on the Hunt Saboteurs and the animal rights side of things is because they can't talk for themselves at the end of the day. They can't say, well, can you stop this because, I don't want them to be hurt anymore. They can't say that, can they?
No, that's right. That's it. It's blimey. Not many people knew that about your past.
Yeah, it's quite an interesting past, like I say.
Definitely.
I mean, because I didn't start with the paranormal side of things until later life, but I did have an experience, as a lot of people know, when I was about 13 and I saw a young boy next to my bed. And that did get me interested, but I went on a tangent, really, and got involved in the animal rights side of things and the DJ side of things and stuff like that.
So
I also did...
Sorry, carry on. Carry on.
I also did a private radio station as well.
All right.
which was quite interesting. I remember the studio being in a pig shed once.
That's a different place for a studio.
Yeah, it was good. They were good times.
Sound it, definitely.
Yeah.
So what brought your background sort of thing into doing mediumship and into the paranormal?
Originally, I took my sister on an event for her birthday. I was actually writing a magazine. We did like a local magazine, and me and a friend of mine were writing that. And then I started seeing these. I thought, I'll put some interesting things about, ghost and local ghost stories and things like that. And I came across an advert on the internet, and it was a company, and I took my sister to this event, and the rest is history, really. We both enjoyed it, and the thing is with me is that anything I do, I always tend to get really involved in it, and then I got really involved in it, and then a year later I was working for the company for 5 years, and then before that, around about the same time, I was been part of 2 paranormal research teams, like many people listening have been today.
Yeah.
Going up and down the country and stuff, and then I left work. I did Mysteria for 3 years, which is where I got involved with working with the Anguished Man, and then it became the Anguished Man Live Experiment, and then Enigma came after that.
Uh-huh.
And then it's I decided to make a full change, and now it's just John Blackburn Physical Medium now.
So at what point did you realise that you got the gift to be a medium and work with energy how you do?
Well, I've actually sat in circle in a proper mediumship circle for God knows how long now, probably about 15 years. And that's kind of developed me over the years, really. And the first circles were just your usual type of meditation ones, but the last 10 years has been all about mediumship technique rather than just meditation. Because you'll find that about a lot of circles, really, is a lot of them tend to just concentrate on their meditation. Some of them are open circles where they allow anybody to come and they give readings. The one I go to is a closed one.
Yeah.
And like I say, it's just all about mediumship technique, really. So it's been over the 15 years. I've developed more over 15 years. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, everybody's got a psychic gift. It just means that you need to learn how to bring it out.
Yeah. Do you think that still attending these circles helps you progress more and helps you sort of tune into the spirit more?
Oh, definitely. I always say I don't think there's ever a medium. We're all developing mediums.
Yeah.
Because you're always learning.
Yeah. So it's the same sort of thing with an investigator. You're always learning. Each event you do, each investigation, you find out something new and learn something new.
Yeah.
How did you sort of progress into working more with energy instead of sort of the standard mediumship that everybody seems to lean towards?
Yeah, it's probably, that's probably about maybe the last 7 or 8 years, I guess. Probably in my Mysteria days. I have a piece of, you've seen the kit, it's called a conduction rope, which I made 12 years ago, maybe. And it took me 2 years to get that actually to do what it does.
Right.
And it's just taking that time to work with something and to get the energy right, really.
Yeah, I've seen that rope work, and it is fascinating, absolutely fascinating to watch that. Do you prefer the more physical side then to the more, say, keep using the same term, but the standard mediumship?
To be honest, yeah, for a few reasons. I mean, I do use a standard mediumship myself, but the thing is, and I'm not making a comment to anybody out there. You know, the way you work, that's fine. We all work different ways at the end of the day. For me, do you know, when you're doing standard mediumship work, on events especially, you're telling people what's in your head.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I know people can confirm things by research and stuff, but you're still telling people what's in your head. And I prefer to let people feel things and see things.
Yeah. During the time you've been doing your physical mediumship, has anything happened that's sort of made you step back and think, whoa, I wasn't expecting that?
I would say working with the Anguished Man, really. The things that's happened, well, in those 3.5 years, I've experienced a lot, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
And just some amazing things. One of them was I didn't expect it quite so good as it did, and you've probably seen the video, I think, where I said, "David, can you turn around and face me?" and he did.
Yes, yeah.
And that kind of surprised me a little bit, to be honest with you.
I've seen the video of that, and yeah, it is. It makes you wow.
Yeah, I mean, I put it on YouTube, and a lot of people say, "No, it's a fake. It's this, that, and the other." Do you know what I mean? But
yeah.
I think you can put anything on YouTube these days and they'll all say it's a fake. But everything I've done with the Anguished Man, there's always been witnesses there, hence the Anguished Man live experiment. It was, people could book on it and be part of it.
Yeah. I must admit, to be perfectly honest, I've always been sceptical about paranormal. Even the amount of time I've been doing it, I'm still sceptical. And then the couple of times that I've been on your events and worked with you and experienced these things firsthand, I can assure anybody out there that there's no fakery whatsoever in it. And to experience some of the things that happen it's mind blowing.
No, I appreciate that you enjoyed it anyway. Thanks, John.
See, what sort of, now you've changed, so it's gone from Enigma to John Blackburn Physical Medium. Is there any particular changes that's going to happen on your events? Any different approaches you're looking at doing?
The reason why I'm doing it, Sean, is because I want to develop the physical mediumship side of me even more, really.
Yeah.
And do you know what? I'm not happy unless people go home and they're going home and they're saying, "Oh yeah, that was a great night." Do you know? Because no one wants people going home saying, "Oh, that was a rubbish night," did he? And it's just about pleasing people on the nights, really, and it's the way that I prefer to work myself. There's lots of things that I've got planned. One with you, which is at Rendlesham Forest.
Yes, looking forward to that.
And this thing, it's doing things like that, Sean, as well. You see, I want to do different things like that as well. I don't just want to be another paranormal company at the end of the day, or a paranormal group. I want to achieve more, and I think the thing is about me, I do like to achieve things.
Yes, yeah. Kaz has just asked in the chat room, does John feel more fulfilled now he's embracing his physical mediumship fully?
Yeah, definitely. Maxine made a good point, actually, and she said that you've been hiding behind Mysteria and Enigma for a long time, and I have, to be honest with you. I have hidden behind them and not been my true self.
Yeah. So it feels more comfortable being yourself and being able to do what you want to do.
Yes, that's right, yeah.
Yeah. Like you say, it's good when people go home from one of your events happy and stuff like that. It just helps. Obviously, it gives you that boost to know that what you're doing is right as well.
Well, yeah, and then you think to yourself, well, I'll improve on that, and that's the way I like to be. And it's also, do you know what I want to do as well, Sean? I want to work with other people as well.
Yeah.
Because I'm not stopping doing my own events, because we have a lot of lovely people who come on the events, who come regular all the time. So I'm still doing those.
Yeah.
But it'd be nice to work with other people as well, and I can work with different groups and stuff, So that'd be good.
Yeah, we're the same. We love working with other teams because it helps. It brings you on as well, and brings them on, and you can learn off each other, and it's great working with other people. Definitely.
Yeah.
I think most people know that at the moment the painting the Spirit with David is with Maxine. How's that going?
It is going absolutely amazing. Maxine's been doing some live streams.
Yeah.
And there's noises on the live streams that can't be explained. I mean, like dragging noises and things, and people have heard voices and all sorts, really. They are on the Facebook group, and they're pretty strange. She is going to do some more as well. But, you've experienced it,
yes, yeah,
yourself, haven't you? When the painting shook.
Yeah, definitely. I experienced that both when we did the Victorian School and at the Galleries of Justice.
Yeah,
just not even really. You can't say touching the painting. It was just slight fingertip against it, and you just feel the vibrations and it actually shaking and moving side to side. It's crazy, really.
Well, it's kind of we've taken a giant step back since the Anguished Man went back to Sean. David was always part of that.
Yeah.
In the early days, really, but there was always two sides of the painting. There was like a darker side, and then the David side. I don't really know where that came from, but he did, and he always told me that he suppressed the darker side of the painting. Yeah. By working together. And so, like, the darker side still stays with the Anguished Man, and the lighter side has joined me.
If at some point you was offered the chance to work with the Anguished Man again, would you take it?
No. The reason being because it's moving forward with David, really. I've got a lot of plans for David, really.
Yeah.
It's like I said in other shows. I do know that David will become stronger than he is now. But the problem I have with David, as I had with the Anguished Man, is I have to keep working him all the time. And hence that's why I did the Anguished Man live experiment. Is if you work with him once a month, he just did what you saw, really.
Yes, yeah.
If you work with him twice a month, he was pretty incredible. And if you work with him 3 times a month, he was amazing, to the extent where you've seen him turn around in that video.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I've seen him dance around the floor. A lot of people have seen him do that. Like a complete 360, really. it's not just about that as well. I've built this device called a germanium receptor, and it's not like a unique thing. It was from the skull experiment, and it's a device that just basically works on white noise. And I have to wait until David's at a point where he is strong enough where we can start to develop his communication more. And what I intend to do with David is to try and give him a voice as well.
Yeah.
So I give him legs when I give him the easel.
Yeah.
And now I want to give him a voice via the germanium receptor. And once I can do that, I can have then, we can have conversations with him.
Yes. Well, Maxine's put in the chat room, just to let you know, I have this playing, so David is listening.
Oh, good. Yeah, I'm glad she's doing that, actually.
Yeah. I mean, if anything does happen, Maxine, while we're on air and David's listening, if you could let us know in the chat room, that'd be fantastic. Ashley Nibs put, it's certainly an interesting phenomena which I would like to look into more. Always had an interest in physical mediumship, like the Skulls experiment.
Yeah, Ashley's asked if he could document the work that we do. We actually do Pentamental sessions, which is a place called Cook's Corner in Hartlepool.
Yeah.
And we're there this Saturday, actually. And it's only a small place, but it's the most amazing place you've ever been to. It's so active. And Jason, who owns it, is a good friend, and he's always been good to us. And he says, it's yours. The cellar's yours, and it's for you to use, for the Pentamental experiment. So that's what we do.
Right, is that the venue where was it the stereo that was thrown down the stairs?
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Definitely. It sounds amazing. That place does.
It is. You'll have to come one day, Sean, and just
definitely
have a look yourself.
Definitely. Right. With David being with Maxine, how do you feel personally? Have you had any, to call it something, withdrawal symptoms?
To be honest with you, yeah, it was weird, really, because Maxine could tell the change anyway in me, and I was quite upset for about 3 days. I was not as upset in tears, but I was a bit down.
Yeah.
I mean, when the Anguished Man was took back, you probably know the story where we had such a close connection that 7 months it was like grieving.
Yeah, it's like a friend being taken away.
Yeah.
Paraforce last year, I remember your talk, and Joe Chin, who, if people wonder, Joe Chin's from Ghost Hunters International, was one of our guest speakers. He was sat in on John's talk, and when John revealed the painting of David, Joe just burst into tears and left the room. And he didn't know why. What was your thoughts on that, John?
The thing is, I feel it myself when I take off the cover of the painting. You can feel a rush of the energy coming from the painting, really, and there is a lot of emotions attached in that painting. I mean, when I painted it myself, it was the strangest experience, especially when I was painting the face, because I knew it was right.
Yeah. So you felt when you painted it, did you feel led that you had to paint that particular face and how it all was?
Yeah, it just all worked out, and it just felt right, and the feeling inside me was just strange, really.
Yeah. Maxine's just put, the flat is cold.
Ooh. That's interesting.
It is. Yeah, so he's definitely listening then.
Yeah.
Wait, have you got anything else planned with David? You mentioned giving him a voice. Is there anything else that you're looking at, any other experiments in the pipeline with him?
Yeah, there is. There was one that I actually did at the event at the old school, Victorian school, and it was based on a copper table. And I can't remember if you were. I don't think you were there, Sean, at the time. But basically, we got people to put their hands on the table and to touch David on the side, with a light fingertip. So we had people in circuit, and I was part of that circuit, really. The table is attached to a cable, which is attached to a copper handle that I hold.
Yep.
So I'm then part of that circuit then. And then on that night we did some. I did Transfiguration. It was a strange one really, because a lot of people were quite concerned that night because they all saw something rather strange. With physical mediumship, you can't see yourself change, obviously, so you have to rely on what other people say. But they did say it was kind of demonic, really.
Yeah, I came in just at the end of that. I think it caught about the last couple of minutes, and people were commenting afterwards that they saw something, a very negative presence on you.
Yeah, and do you know what? Me and Maxine had the same thought about it. Really, it did seem once or twice. It's happened a couple of times where the negative side of the painting before has came through, and I feel it was that. But
yeah, do you feel that coming through quite a bit, the negative side, or does David do a good job of suppressing that for you?
He does a very good job of suppressing that.
With you working with energy and everything as well, has that energy ever got to the point where you just needed to back away and sort of say, "Whoa, stop a minute," and gather yourself?
When I'm doing Transfiguration, I have I've chatted to Maxine really, and I have like a little trigger where if I hold my hand up, Maxine knows then that it's getting a little bit too much, and I'm pushing it back, and just to sort of be there on hand really. But I'm always in control. There's not a problem. It did take a little bit longer to come out of the one at the old Victorian school because I went quite deep.
Yeah. Is that when you do your Transfiguration? Is that when you do it with David?
Yeah.
Is there other spirits trying to push in? Or
yeah, on that night again at the old Victorian school, people were saying that the face changed quite a few times. To different faces.
So that's these different spirits. Does David sort of step aside then and let them come through if there's nothing negative with them?
On occasions, yeah. I mean, David's face on the painting itself has been seen. It was seen at on the closed circle that I go to.
Yeah.
The painting wasn't there, but I had a photograph of the actual painting itself, and there were 3 people there that night. It's only a small group of us. There were 3 people there that night, and I did the Transfiguration with red light. We always use red lights.
Yeah, yeah.
And they were really surprised when they looked at the painting and said, "Yeah, that's him. That's who they saw."
Wow.
So he has come through.
Right, just thinking now. Can we try a live experiment?
Of course, yeah.
If you can send a psychic message to David, tell him to do something, and see if Maxine can then report if it does anything.
Okay, I'll just stay quiet a second, and I'll just do that now then. Should be interesting. See what Maxine says anyway.
Yeah. So if anything happens, Maxine, just let us know, and it'd be interesting to see if we can get that to work. Is there any mediums that are out there, John, that you'd like to work with at some point, or do you prefer working alone?
Do you know what? To be honest with you, I do kind of prefer working on my own. To be honest with you,
yeah.
Because it's just the way it just feels right. It's just the way I work really.
It's no interference sort of things. I suppose with it being with energy, it's easier to do it on your own instead of somebody else. It's not interfering as such, but
yeah, I don't mind when I used to do the events and stuff. What we used to do is we'd split the group into 2, You get one group with one team, and then the group would be with me, and then you swap them over so both get a different experience, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean. And I don't mind working with people like that because I'm not actually working with them.
Yeah.
You're just giving whoever's there, the guest there, another experience.
And Maxine has just put, I felt a touch on my face and I'm freezing at the moment.
Right.
Is that anywhere near?
Yeah, it is actually, because what I've done once or twice is I was a bit, I maybe shouldn't have done it, but I was doing meditation before I went to bed, and I was thinking of David, and then I contacted Maxine, and she said the flat's freezing. so yeah, it kind of worked.
That's doing all right then. Yeah. Is there any venues that you'd like to do an event at that you haven't been to yet?
Yeah, well, one I've tried to get in touch, and I'm sure many people have, and that's the Tower of London. And and when I've tried about 2 times actually. And the first time, this woman just spoke to me as if it was a piece of dirt, really. and I've heard in the grapevine, I don't know how true it is, but it probably fed up people, ringing up, and apparently you can hire it for £12,000 now.
Wow. That's out of most people's pocket range, that one.
Yeah, I mean, you say these things, don't they, just so people think, oh, well, forget it.
Right, I suppose you can't really go on a guided tour and carry the painting around with you, can you?
No, that's right.
Do you know where David come from? Have you any insight into his history?
Well, we got a bit of insight. Do you know what? I don't really know whether David was a painter of the Anguished Man or not, to be honest with you. Yeah. But I always got information about Bergen-Belsen with David, and that's Bergen-Belsen was a detention camp.
Yes, yeah.
And Sean later on found out that it wasn't Bergen-Belsen that the actual artist went to, it was Auschwitz.
Right.
But Bergen-Belsen was a detention camp for Auschwitz, so more than likely he would have went to Auschwitz afterwards.
There's a definite link there, then, isn't there?
Yeah. And it's kind of, I want to find out more about his background. I want to find out about the spirit world where he lives.
Yeah.
Because that's the answer that we all want, isn't it? What is the spirit world about? And that's where I'm driving to. I'm also changing. I don't want to be seen as a one-trick pony, really.
Yeah.
And this is why you're coming to Rendlesham Forest with me, which is going to be interesting.
Definitely branch out a little bit.
Yeah, well, yeah, because with the UFO side of things, I'm sure a lot of people know what Rendlesham Forest is about, and it was, it's called Great Britain's Roswell, really, because of the sightings there. I've actually been there 3 times now, and every time we've had an amazing experience. One which scared Maxine and a few other people. And I thought to myself, I've decided to, because I want to achieve things, I want to push the boundaries. This is why I put my head on the line, well, my neck on the line, I should say, by doing what we're doing at Rendlesham Forest.
Well, at the end of the day, the paranormal field as a whole wouldn't progress if people weren't prepared to push the boundaries, put the neck on the line, and try something different. Because we never know what the results will be if you don't try.
You've got to, haven't you?
Exactly.
You've got to, and like, I want to mix, say, like an event with a UFO event, if you want to call it that, with physical mediumship.
Yeah.
I know it sounds bizarre, but it's totally different experience.
Yeah. I mean, what do you think? A lot of people talk about it, that alien and paranormal are linked, that they virtually go hand in hand. A lot of the time where there's an alien encounter, you also will find that there's something paranormal happening in the same area. What do you think on that one? Is that?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, well, I have my own theories, really. A lot of people share the same one, that at the end of the day, the aliens on Earth are us as well. Because I think going back in time, I kind of have a belief that we were put here for that purpose, really.
Yeah. So Kaz has just put, you need to do all the UK UFO hotspots, John.
We are planning on doing quite a few of them, yeah.
So have you any plans on anywhere next after Rendlesham, or is it see what pops up?
We've got a few ideas. I don't want to mention them yet, but we've got a few ideas. We've got, like I'm doing the Rendlesham Forest one with you. Yeah. There is another idea which it's not a UFO hotspot, but there's another idea that I'm asking Maxine to help me organise it. It's going to be a little dangerous, this one,
right? Because
of the history of it and what happened, and again, it's a transfiguration experiment.
Yeah,
and if we can organise that, it'll be amazing, and you will want to come, Sean.
That sounds intriguing, definitely. Ashley's just put, not as bizarre as you may think, especially given there are links into telepathy, etc.
Yeah, that's it, isn't it? And I don't think it's a bit bizarre at all. I do think that there is a link.
Yeah, I mean, we've been involved in a private case for what's going on for 2 years now, and that one, these all sorts been happening, as well as the paranormal side and sightings. There's also, we've actually stood there and witnessed lights dancing around the sky. I physically saw what I can only describe as inhuman, where it was stretched to alien in the garden. Yeah. And that made me think that these things are linked. I think whether one draws one to the other or not, I don't know how it works.
We saw, well, I didn't see it myself, actually. When we went to Rendlesham Forest the last time, the figures that you explained,
yeah,
we saw exactly the same thing.
Yeah,
I kind of saw a bit of them, but I didn't see the full extent of what everybody else saw.
Yeah, I mean, I'll honestly, freely admit that when I saw this thing, I was walking up the garden, looking down with my torch, stepping out, because we got CCTV set up, and I was looking for the cable, so I didn't stand on the cable. And looked up. As I looked up, I brought my torch up, and it shone straight onto this thing. They've got like a pagoda in the garden. It was stood in there, peeking out from behind one of the pillars. And I'll admit, I turned and I shot back down that garden. So I've never seen anything like that. It was 7 foot tall easily, and wasn't pleasant looking at all.
Oh, good stuff.
Is there anything that's ever frightened you while you've been on investigations at any point?
It's a difficult one, really, because you don't really get frightened, do you? It's more excited.
Yeah.
Because we do what we do, you kind of get used to it, don't you? Yeah, I think there probably was one that was a bit strange, and that was it was at a place called, I did an event there, and unfortunately you can't do it there anymore. They just won't allow you to do it, and it's called, what was it called? It'll come to me in a minute. I always forget the name, but I'll. Yeah. Anyway, never mind. It's a castle in Wiltshire, anyway, right. And in the Castle Keep. I always remember I was in there with this other woman, and it was absolutely really, really dark. And around the walls of the keep, it was about 20 feet away from me, I could see this black mass, and it was moving. It was jet black. You could see it was moving. And then it started to come around the sides of the walls. I could see it moving around the sides of the walls. And it came round the back of me. And then I could feel this intense, it was so negative feeling. And it was starting to creep around me. Kind of envelope me, really, if you like.
Yeah.
And that was quite weird. The other time was at Chillingham Castle in Northumberland.
Oh yeah.
We took the Anguished Man there, and it was the very first time that I've actually seen him do anything as such, to this extent anyway.
Yeah.
And what actually happened, I didn't have the name of David then, and it was very much the negative side, which I was speaking to. And I got everybody in a circle. I put the painting propped up on a chair in the middle of the circle because we didn't have the easel then. I put one lady at the front of the painting, one at the back, because ladies' energies are stronger than the men's, and I wanted to give it as much as I could do.
Yeah.
And then there were certain questions I had to ask, but what people didn't actually see was, they didn't really notice, was this wooden bench, which was against the wall, and it was about 5 foot long. It was made out of oak, and it was a really heavy bench. And Sean's grandmum, she always said that she thought it was that the painting was. She deemed the painting as being pure evil.
Yeah.
And that's why when she died, she left it to Sean because he had a morbid fascination with it. And anyway, I started asking questions, and I thought, well, I'll ask questions to the painting of what it'll relate to.
Yeah.
And I said a few things like, can I speak to the entity attached to the painting? And then all of a sudden, to everyone's surprise, the bench lifted up by itself and banged down once very, very hard, and it must have lifted up about six inches.
Wow.
Everybody jumped, as you can imagine. And then I asked, would you consider yourself as being pure evil? And then the bench lifted up, banged down for once. And I did before. I said a few things more than that, but I did say, can you bang once for yes and twice for no? And it's sure enough, it banged very hard for once.
Wow.
And then all of a sudden, what happened was that the actual room, from being a nice, pleasant, warm room, went cold in seconds to where not cold, it went freezing cold to where you could see your breath.
Yeah.
And then a figure appeared in the middle of the circle, which must have been about 6'5", 7 foot. And it was just a black figure. And there was a young girl who used to come on the events then. And he just glided over to her, and he was round about 6 inches away from her face. And looking down at this girl. It was Abby Oryx, her name was. And Abby, she was getting really upset and scared. So I thought, well, I need to calm this down a bit. So I said, are you connected to me now? And then the bench lifted up and banged down against for once. And then everybody could see that this black mass just moved around the circle and then came around the back of me, this big black figure. And then again, I could feel that he was trying to enter inside my body. So I thought, well, I'm not having any of this. You got to look after the guests at the end of the day. Yeah. So I blocked it. I stopped him going any further. And then within seconds again, the room just went back to its not normal self again. But the interesting thing was, in those days, there was 2 reasons why I took the Anguished Man around different haunted locations. And one was because I wanted to find out more about the painting, because that's what we agreed with Sean.
Yeah.
And 2, I had my own little experiment, and that was, how would the resident spirits react if you brought in a haunted entity from outside? And sure enough, it worked quite well that night. and what actually happened is when the temperature went back to normal again, it was almost as if you could feel something coming through the door of the building.
Yeah.
And you could tell it was something completely different. The atmosphere just changed.
Wow.
And you could tell it was completely different.
Yeah.
And something got hold of the bench and just flipped the bench upside down.
Wow.
And then at that time, I called the event. It was getting late anyway, and I called the event at a stop at that stage. Everybody went downstairs, and there was a few people scared and shaking and stuff. So it was interesting.
At least they went with a good experience.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
Vaccines put. Slight breathing from David. Standing in front of David, he's freezing, and slight pulse.
Okay. What I asked in my head, what I asked, I mean, you'll have to just trust me on this. What I asked was for him to breathe on Maxine's hand.
There we are. Slight breathing coming from David.
Yeah.
I think we could say that was a bit of a success, that one.
Yeah.
We've got Sarah Coulthard Kane has put Chillingham Castle was brilliant doing it with John, but I wouldn't now recommend going since doing it with their in-house team, hugely disappointing. I suppose after an experience like that, there's quite a things are disappointing.
Yeah, I've heard a few things, yeah.
The bench, we had a bench lift once, was at Galleries of Justice down in the Oubliette.
Oh, yes.
And there was 5 people, the long wooden benches that they have down there was 5 people sat on that. We've got it on video, and it just suddenly lifted up. Only an inch or so, but it moved about nearly a foot sideways and threw them all off it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was crazy.
I mean, you get a few people saying that the Galleries of Justice is overworked and, it's flat all the time, but it isn't. It's just, it's like anywhere, really. Yeah, I think you've got to know how to work it. Because, like I said, I've worked there 100 times now.
Yeah.
And it's like anywhere. Sometimes it's off and sometimes it's on.
Yeah, I mean, we've been to the galleries numerous times ourselves, and I can happily say every time we've been, something's happened.
Yeah.
There's been an experience somewhere in the place. And I mean, I don't understand when people say it's flat, it's overworked, because we've never had a bad night there.
No, I've always enjoyed working there.
Yeah. I think it goes to, like you just said, it's how you work a place and the atmosphere that you create while you're there.
Yeah, exactly.
It's what people tend to forget when they're investigating as well, is the spirits that you're working with and you're trying to communicate with were human beings.
Exactly. Not performing monkeys, are they?
No.
At the end of the day.
No. I said they don't want to feel like they're on the Parkinson show. They like to have just a normal conversation with you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So Kaz has put, going on John and Maxine's events is an experience you always remember.
Oh, that's very nice of Kaz to say.
It's true. It is. The things I think that people experience on your events. It's like you say, you try to stand out and be different, and they're definitely different from your standard paranormal investigation.
I don't use any equipment really apart from something, like the conduction rope that I've made and, things like that I use myself. Because it's not me really.
What gave you the idea for the conduction rope?
Oh God. Just energy conduction at the end of the day. I thought to myself, like you get a ring main in your house.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean. For anybody who doesn't know what a ring main is, it's basically all the wires that connect up your sockets. And they're done in a ring, and that's why they call it a ring main. And I thought to myself, well, surely, the conduction of energy at the end of the day, if you have it in a ring, then it's going to build up, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Especially if you have people on it, and then people generate 2 kilowatts of energy a day. So if you get that multiplied, you can build that energy. But like I said, it took me two years to get that rope actually to do what it does now. Mm-hmm. So it's just the building up of the energy all the time and the working with it, and it's just that type of thing. Wow.
Wait, have you ever thought of trying something with like the Tesla coil or a Jacob's ladder?
I have thought of trying a Leyden jar at one time, but I never got around to working it out really. And a Leyden jar was the first capacitor really.
Yeah.
It was the first experiment for a capacitor, and a capacitor, it stores energy at the end of the day, and then it releases it, and that's what a Leyden jar does.
Yeah.
So I thought of doing things with a Leyden jar, but I haven't worked out how to do it yet.
It's the Jacob's ladder stuff I've looked at building myself, but
yeah,
it seems a little bit dangerous.
Well, yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? You've got to think of that as well when you get things like Leyden jars and Jacob's ladders and producing a lot of energy. You have got to think, you got to be safe.
Having a room full of people as well, I suppose it's not the safest option to have live sparks flying around.
yeah, exactly.
So in the future, you're looking at giving David a voice. What do you think the first thing things he might start saying? Have you any ideas on what you feel he might want to say?
That's a difficult one, isn't it? Oh yeah. I don't know. I'd probably. It'd be nice if he said my name, I suppose.
Yeah.
And I don't know, Sean. I don't know what to reply about that one.
I thought I just took a hard one.
Yeah.
So, where's your next event coming up for people that are interested? What have you got coming up, sort of, for the next few months?
Yeah. Well, on Saturday, like I said, we have got the Pentimento experiment, which is at Cook's Corner in Hartlepool, and then after that, we have got. I'm just going to the events page now, and then we've got. On the 24th of February, we got Halsham House Experience, which is in Halsham, in East Riding of Yorkshire. And then the 7th of April, we've got the Doncaster Former Workhouse. And then we've got the Priest House, which is in West Sussex. And after that, Sean, it's Rendlesham Forest.
Plenty going on then.
Yeah, plenty going on.
Keeping you busy.
Yeah, well, that's me, really. I like to be kept busy.
Looking forward to yourself and Maxine coming to the Galleries of Justice with us at the end of March. If there's any of your experiments you want to bring along for the people that are coming on there to have a go at, you're more than welcome to bring them along and do some bits and bobs with that.
Yeah, of course, no problem.
So there'll be a lot of people there that haven't experienced what you do.
Okay.
So obviously, do normal investigating with everybody else as well.
Yeah.
I've just got a quick mention following this show. We've got Penny G. Morgan, who's talking about the Cage on Haunted Histories. So if you refresh the page when myself and John are finished and have a listen to Penny, I'm sure that'll be a very interesting show talking about the Cage. Quick one for you to finish. Where's your favouriteest place you've ever investigated?
Chillingham Castle's pretty awesome, actually. But also, my favourite place at the moment is Cook's Corner in Hartlepool.
Yeah. Is there any place you wouldn't investigate?
I'm not sure, really. I'm not sure about that one.
You don't know till you've been and see what they're like.
Yeah.
What about Harbatu Forest at Romania? Is that somewhere you've thought you wouldn't mind having a go at? Or
yeah, me and Maxine spoke about it actually. I'm trying to do that a while ago. It was quite some time ago now, but yeah, maybe one day. Yes, we would love to do that.
Yeah, so that could be quite interesting to do some transfiguration in there.
I have said the same thing to Maxine actually. Yeah.
So it's been absolutely brilliant talking to you, John.
Thank you very much, Sean.
I can fully recommend to anybody that's listening, if you're looking for a different event, something not your usual wander around with your cameras, something different where you experience energy and you see things that just leave your mind boggled. You're wondering, how on earth did that happen? I can fully recommend going on one of John's nights. It's very different, very interesting, and the two that I've been on, I've still got things in my head that I can't quite work out. Yeah. Just a quick one to finish, John. That's actually just reminded me. When I was at the Victorian School,
I
think it was while she was doing your transfiguration, I was on my own in the corridor, and I was wandering up the corridor filming with a camera, and felt somebody almost push past me.
Yeah.
I looked round. I think I told you on the night. I couldn't see. There was nothing I could have caught myself on. And the thought came to me afterwards, and I've had a quick chat with Ashley Nibb about this as well, that could that have been me that I walked into on a different dimension, a different reality, been the same thing as me but walking the opposite way up the corridor?
Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, you can't rule out anything in the paranormal, can you, really?
No. So what's your thoughts on stuff like, I say we've already got a little bit on the dimensions of things crossing into ours that are causing a lot of activity?
Yeah, it could be possible, couldn't it? It's an interesting topic, and it's one that you could do a full show on, I suppose.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's probably a little bit big just for our last minute, really.
Yeah.
So we've got everybody saying a fantastic show. It definitely was, John.
Thank you.
It's been very interesting, and so we've also got just a quick plug for myself. Paraforce UK coming up September the 29th and 30th at the Village Church Farm in Skegness. Tickets are on sale. It's £60 for a VIP ticket, which gives you full access for the whole weekend. It gives you the food on the Saturday night and the Saturday night investigation. And John will also be one of our guest speakers at Paraforce UK. So if you want to hear more with John and get to meet the guy, then Paraforce UK is the place. So, again, thank you very much, John, and I shall say goodbye to everybody. Thank you very much for listening, and I shall hopefully speak to you all in the chat room next week. And over to Kerry. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sean.
Thank you for listening. Don't forget to join us for more shows throughout the week. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and the World Wide Web to keep up to date with all the shows right here on Parasearch Radio.